Welcome to another video. This is Kathy, Crowder's Mountain, North Carolina. And I'm going to ask you one thing, is to hang in there with me today, because I know you can do this. But look what we're going to make. We're going to make a barn quilt lighthouse. A lighthouse barn quilt. And I know you can do this. So it's going to be a little time consuming, I think, drawing the pattern out. But once you get it and take a screenshot, you're going to love it. So remember what that looks like now. Hang in there with me. Let's get started. Okay, if you didn't get scared from the intro and leave, you're still with me. Hang in there to the end, and I'll give you some kind of tips and tricks that I learned along the way while I was making that lighthouse. That's the first one that I did because it's an original design. I actually took a picture. Let me show you. I took this picture. Well, I just got tape all over it, didn't I? You know, I'm messy. I took this picture. This is Cape Blanco Lighthouse at the Oregon coast. Now, we've driven up the Oregon coast before and saw a lot of lighthouses, but I can't remember. That's been 4 or 5 years ago, and I can't remember if we saw this one or not. But someone had challenged me to draw a lighthouse, and I wanted to do that for them. But I didn't really like any of the ones that I saw, and the one that I did like was a copyrighted pattern. I was looking on the internet and I found this one. So that's the one that I made. Do you think that I got it right? Now I had to put some light on mine. Wouldn't be a barn quilt without that, would it? And mine doesn't look exactly like theirs, but for the first attempt, it'll do in a mad rush, won't it? Okay. So that's the one that we're going to do. Cape Blanco. In the South it's probably Blanco. But I'll get Google to tell me how to pronounce it before I'm finished. And I can tell y'all exactly how it's pronounced. Because Google's always right. Okay, so let's get started drawing this pattern. Because I want you guys to draw you one of these. Alright, so the first thing that I did was, and you'll notice that I'm using the graphed side of my flip chart paper. Now, you can measure this out. Once you get the pattern, take a snapshot of it. You can measure and make you tick marks. But I just felt like it would be easier for me to explain it if I was using this graph paper. Now, for my board, for my quilt, I took the time to measure 1-inch blocks, and I put the grid on that board 1-inch blocks. I just measured 1 inch up, 1 inch over, down and around, and connected my dots, and I had my grid. Now, was that a lot? Yeah, but I felt like that was the easiest way for me to put my pattern on the board and get it right I didn't want to start racing out and doing again. And that's what I would have done. But you can measure it. That's my point. All right, the first thing we're going to do, we're just going to draw a 2-inch block all the way around because we have a 2-inch border. So we're just going to go ahead and get that done so that none of the other measurements that we do will get outside of our line, outside of our area here. Well, this is not fading. Here it comes. I'm trying to use a color that y'all could see. Okay. There you go. Let me get it back up here. All right, so we've got our 2-inch border all the way around. And let me show you something. Let me show you something I was gonna do. Okay, before I get started. You see these this is solid. I got a solid border, and I sent it to a couple of my friends when I got finished because I had intended to do a different kind of border, but we all decided that if I got my border too busy, it would take away from the lighthouse. But that doesn't mean you have to have a solid border. And get my handy dandy book back out here. And you know, I was telling you in one of the other videos about these borders in this book. Well, see, this border is called a fish, and I was going to put like 4 on each side with some blank blocks in the middle and coordinate that with the colors in the lighthouse, but we decided that that was going to be probably too much. But in my heart, I want to do it again and put that around just to see. I could always paint over it, couldn't I? But I really do like that navy blue around that border on this one, so we'll go with that for now. All right, so now let's start drawing. Let's draw the foundation first. Now, hang in there because this is gonna be weird for a minute, but you can do it. It's not that many marks. All right, so first thing, we're going to count over 2. And then we're going to go up to the second one. So over 2, up 2. And we're going to make a mark at the halfway point. We'll make a tick mark. And we're going to come over here and do the same thing. We're going to go up 2 and over 2. And make a tick mark. Wait a minute. First thing we're going to do, we're going to start in this right hand corner and go up 1. So on the second row, in the very center, at the 1/2 inch mark, we're going to put a tick mark. So make your tick mark right there on the left hand side of that first block on the second row. And we're going to do the same thing on the left hand side. We're going to go up, we're going to start in the corner of the left and go up one and put a put a tick mark at the 1/2 inch mark on the right side. Alright, we're building the foundation for the house now real fast. And we're just connecting that. I'll have to get me another marker. Alright. And then we drew a line, we connected our tick marks, and we drew another line at the top of that second row. And now all we're going to do is just connect those. Now this is the foundation. Alright, we needed to get that foundation on there before we could do anything. Okay, so we're going to start drawing the lighthouse now. We went up 2 and over 2. And we made a tick mark the center of the top block. So here's the corner, and we went up 2, over 2, 1, 2, and the top of that block we put a mark at the 1/2 inch. Now let's count up 11. From that mark, you want to count up 11. Not from the bottom, but from that mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And the left-hand side of that 11th block, we're putting a mark. And we're going to just connect those 2 tick marks. And you see, we want it kind of angled because that's the way lighthouses are. Alright, let's draw the other side of the lighthouse. So we're right here at that 1/2 inch mark, and we're going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And at the middle of that block, right in the middle, we're putting a 1/2 inch. We're marking a tick mark at the 1/2 inch mark. We're going to go back up 11 more blocks. So it's right here. So this will be 11. And on the right hand side of that block, we're going to put a tick mark and connect the tick marks. Now when you're drawing this, you don't have to put the tick marks. You can just draw it up there. But I'm doing that so that you guys can see what I'm doing. Alright, now we're still drawing the lighthouse. Now, part of this is a guideline. So I will come back along and dot that line for you so you'll know that that's just the guideline. But when you're drawing your lighthouse, you're going to need that on there. Okay. So at the top of this, we have to draw the base for that middle section. So at this line, at the very top, we're just going to put our ruler here, and we're going to have a tick mark at the halfway point here on that block, and a tick mark here. And we're going to go up 1/2 inch, because this little block, little line here at the top of the lighthouse needs to be a 1/2 inch wide. So you see, now we're just going to connect those. And I know what you're thinking. I'm just going to skip ahead, run this thing forward, and get to the end of it. And if you've drawn quilt blocks before and you know how to do that, go for it. All right, so the next lines that we're going to make, we're just going to see, this is a half. We've got a half of these blocks left, and we're going to go up to the top of the next row and put a tick mark and a tick mark. And that's going to be the sides of that second section. See there? And we're going to do the same thing again that we did right here. We're going to put our ruler down and get it centered. And we're making a half an inch and half inch. And we're going to go up another half inch here and make a tick mark. We're going to go to the other side. See, we're lining our ruler up with that one too now. And we're making a tick mark. So now we're just going to connect these. Oops, I went down too far. See, we want these two to be even with one another. Alright, so we got that, right? So now, we need to go up. Here's half of that one. Well, that line got all wonky, didn't it? Sorry. I think my purple's about to run out. Okay. So here's half of that row, right? At the top of this second section. And we're going to count. We're not going to count that one, but we're going to go up two more. 1, 2. And we're going to draw a line again. We're going to go up to that second one. And we're going to put that half inch mark again. Half inch tick mark. So now we're going to draw the top of the lighthouse. So we're just going to go in the middle. So here's our half inch, count over 2, and at the top right of that second block, put a tick mark. And this is going to be the very top of the lighthouse. And we're just going to draw them together. Now, what I did, if you'll notice that the top of that lighthouse is sort of round. It's sort of got a little ridge underneath it and then the round circle. Well, I just used one of those round sponges and I just dabbed it. One of the small ones, I just dabbed it right here. So, let's see if I can find that for you, what I did. Here it is. It's actually one of those little dabbers. And see the end of it? You can see it's got the paint on it already. But I just dabbed it here. So, for the sake of this pattern, so you don't forget to put the little round top on, I'm just going to draw around it. There you go. And that's how I got that on there. But anything round that you've got that you feel like will be the right size, you could use it. Okay. All right, now we need to draw the insides of this. And what I did again on the sides, I'm just going to draw Draw your lines down the side that's in line with these. And then I drew like, I did the 1/2 inch marks again. Now, if you were doing a bigger board than this, you may not have to go these 1/2 inch measurements, but for the 2x2, it felt like to me that that's what it needed to be proportioned. Alright, so we're going to make a mark at the halfway point on that first one and the last one. And in the middle, these two in the middle, we're going to divide those in half as well. Alright. Then I think that's a short enough distance. We can line it up. But if you wanted to now, you could go up there and measure that. Let's do that for you. So that's a 1/2 inch here, 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 and here. So it's a 1/2 inch. It's a 1/2 inch mark on every one of them. And I'll show you. Alright, so these two is the outside frame, but this one is actually going to be our light. That's where the light's going to shine out through it. And we'll do that last. Okay, here you go. Now let's draw the house. See, you've almost finished. The house is not hard. Okay. So, to start the house, we're going to go in our lighthouse down here at the bottom. And you know, I told you some of these are going to be guidelines. So I had to draw the lighthouse, but then part of this house is in front of the lighthouse. So we're going to go over, we're going to start at this halfway point and go over one. Don't count that half, just go over to the next full block. And we're going to make a tick mark. And then we're going to go up 3 and make a tick mark. And that is going to be a side of the house. This is the Watchman's house. Alright, then we're going to start drawing our well, let's not draw the roof yet. Let's go over, we're still drawing our house now. Let's go over to the end of this block. See this block? And we're going to go over a 1/2 inch and make a tick mark. We're going to go over one more block and make a tick mark. Then we're going to go over 2 and make another tick mark, and over 1 make a tick mark. And again, we're going to go up 3. Well, let me measure these up here so I can get my lines straight. Well, it's just this one. It's just that one. First line, we need to make sure we're going up 3, but right in the middle of that one, the third block. And then we're just going to draw on, we're going to cover our grid lines up now. Okay, you see that? So you're going to have 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we can start connecting them. We're going to connect this first one And this second set. So the first one and the second set we're going to connect. The rest of them are going to be connected to the roof. And we're going to get started on that. We'll draw the windows and the doors in a minute. Alright, so for our roof, you know it needs to be slanted. So we're going to go over one here. At the top of that third one, over one. Make a tick mark. And then we're going to count over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And at the left hand side of that fourth block. So I went 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'm going to start drawing the roof. See that? And then you're going to just connect the roof down here. Now see, these lines, and purple, are guidelines. So you won't need those anymore. So if you had an erasable pen or whatever you're doing, you can erase those right now. Alright, so now we're continuing to draw the roof. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And at the top of that, put your tick mark. And we're going to connect those lines. Now let's come down here and connect the rest of our roof right here. So you're just gonna, you should be here and the same row up 4, but the left hand side. And that drew your angle. Alright, then at that point, we're right here in this same row, but at the bottom left hand of that second block, go over, like right here you are, go over 1, go down 1, and the second block left hand corner. And we're going to draw part of that roof. Alright, now we're connecting that, you know, the second section that we drew. We're just going to connect the roof there of this little part. And we're going wait a minute. I told you wrong. And there's no way to erase this. So I'm just going to mark it out. I told you wrong. This is right. This is right. But we need to go into the middle here and make a tick mark. And from that corner of these 2 blocks, we need to go up. Sorry. Alright, and then, see, you're at the halfway mark here. So we made a tick mark in the middle of this block and connected it. Now we need to skip this one and go to that second one over. So don't count that. 1, the second one over, and we're going to put a tick mark in the center. And then we're just going to connect that. So that's the roof of that little part. And then we can connect this and here Okay, let's connect this, and I'm going to show you how I did that roof. Alright, so now we've got it all connected, right? Don't count that. And I'm checking, double checking, making sure I got all my lines. Okay. Alright, before we finish the roof, let me show you my doors and windows. So up here at the top, and let's do that in another color. Let's do that in yellow. What we want to do here is go up to this first section here on your lighthouse. And we're just going to go up. Here, see, here's the half. We're going to go half of that next block. I know that sounds confusing. Well, here, see, this is half a block. And we're going to find the half at that one. Can you see that yellow? You may not be able to see that yellow too good. I don't want to do all this work for nothing, do we? Let me find something else. Here's the orange. Alright. There you go. Probably could see that better. Alright, and then we're just gonna, the same row right here, we're gonna find the center of it. And we're just gonna draw a door. And that's that little door. That looks like a mess. But that's the little door on the top. And you can make it skinnier if you want to. See that? So you can make it skinnier if you want to. Might look better a little bit more skinny. Alright, and then for the window here in the middle of the lighthouse, I started at, so here's the corner, 1, 2, 3, and the top of that third one, and I just made the half, I made a 1/2 inch because it's a window. And I kind of wanted to make it in proportion. So you may want to make that one a little bit skinnier. I think I did. I actually think I went over 1/4. There you go. That does look better. But you can make it the way you want to make it. Alright, so then, so we've got that little door, we've got that window, and the wonky looking window. And we've got a door over here, and again, because of my measurements, if you're making a big one now, you won't have to do this. I went halfway in each one of these blocks, and then I went up. I went up halfway here too. I'm just gonna make a half. I'm not drawing to that, but I'm just getting my reference here, so I make sure I got it straight. And I'm putting marks at halfway there. So I just put these there to keep my ruler straight. And I'm just drawing my lines. And that's the door to that little section. Now let's go over here and draw our windows. So those windows are 1/2 inch wide as well. No, they're 1 inch. They're 1 inch. So you can proportion it the way you want to, but I thought that it looked better a ½ inch wide, and I put one over here. So 1, 2 on the 3rd row is where that first window is going. And I marked it halfway. And then I'm skipping 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to put at the halfway point of that block. So my windows actually are going to be 1.5 inches tall. So I just went up to the top of that next block. Alright, see, there's the windows. Now, we're almost finished. Let me find another color. Let's see what green will do. Let me do the light next. Alright, the way I did this light, just come over here to the left-hand section, and you might can make yours a little different than mine, but what I did, I found this corner. Make sure y'all seeing it. I found this corner, and I made a tick mark 1 inch down, and then 2 inches, and then a halfway point here. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 6 tick marks. And I went down. Let me get my ruler back on my lines. Alright, on the 5th one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to be our last tick mark. So we need tick mark about a 4th way down there, and then maybe half here. So it doesn't have to be rocket science, but you want to make sure you've got them spaced out enough for you to at least, you know, like draw and paint. So on this, all the way to the right now, we're back over here at our lighthouse. We're going to start here, and we're just going to make 5 little tiny tick marks. Okay, let me show you. I said I'm going to start here, but I didn't tell you where I was at, did I? Alright, I'm here. This is going to be our light. And not counting that little half mark, half block, I'm going to that bottom block inside our light. And I'm just going to start and make 6 tick marks, just random. Need one more right here. Okay. Now, we're going to cross over this, but this is not part of our pattern. This is going to be solid. Let me show you. Alright, so we're starting here in the middle of our light, And we're going to draw out to these tick marks. But we're going to cross over this. But just remember, when you're painting, to paint over that, put a piece of tape over it. Okay? Why don't we do that? Why don't we do what I'm trying to tell y'all to do? We're just going to put some tape here. And this was a little 1/8" roll that I found, and I ordered it just to see what it would be like. And I really like it for things like this. But if you had that other kind of skinny pinstripe tape, it'll work too. I just had this and it seemed like it worked good. So now, that's not going to be confusing. So we're just going to take the top tick mark and you know, I might use that yellow for this one, y'all, since it is a light. I just feel like these different colors help y'all. I don't know. It would me. See? See how that worked? Alright, the second tick mark to the second tick mark over here. And the third tick mark to the third tick mark over here. I sure hope this is making sense to y'all, because I don't know that I could do it again. Sometime I have recorded these 4 times, because I will get up there and I'll start editing and I'll think, well, I don't even know what I said. How are they supposed to know what I said? Alright, so here you go. And I told you, stay tuned to the end, and I'm going to tell you a trick about that I learned along the way. Okay, so we got our lighthouse, we got our light, we got our windows, and we got the Watchman's house. And here's what I did. I know I drew this pattern 3 or 4 times before I got it right. So here's what I did. I don't know if I can get y'all down far enough to see this. But it was like the roof was too boring. So if you can see this, I used 2 different colors. See, here's the roof. And then here, I came along like with 1/8, or no, that's about a fourth inch here, and made it a little bit lighter color so that I had some definition here. And I did the same thing here and here, just real light, skinny lines, and on the roof of that. So that's what I did. So if you want to do that, you probably need me to draw it out if I could find a pencil. So the only thing I did, I just went down 1/8 here and about a fourth, and that's all I did. And you don't have to do it, but it just seemed like that looked better to me. So I did it here too. So I just come down about it and come over about 1/8, a fourth. And see that? It just gives it a little bit of definition. See it? And then what I did here, because that's grid lines, I just made them a little bit thicker so that I would, when I was painting and taping it up, This is just like, gosh, this might be the 1/8 of an inch. So I actually painted in here. There's another one of these. Yeah, and I did this one the same way. I went over just a little. There we go. There you go. So I just made these like 1/4. This one's probably an 1/8 because this little part of the house was small. And in that picture, there's people going in this door, and I didn't. Y'all can't see that. Now, people going in that door. Is that what, did you sell that or not? But what I said was right here, I just made these. This was my grid lines, but I actually made them about 1/8 of an inch wide so I could actually paint in there. And I just taped it off that way. And there was some steps right here too, but I didn't put them on mine. But if you wanted to, you could just color them a different color, and it would look, you could see that they're part of the foundation. All right. So now, the only thing we need to do is draw the sky. And let me tell you to start with, I'll show you what I did. Well, why don't I just get you up there? Now, so here's, see the sky? You don't have to do yours like I did. You could just have them a solid color. Just, you know, maybe that lighter blue. You could do that. But, you know, my picture had different colors. My picture had different colors in the sky. And I would think that's a Carolina sky, but I guess Oregon likes blue sky too, don't they? All right. For you folks in Oregon, I hope you go see that lighthouse. I'm going to have to make another trip out there at some point. Get through with all this surgery stuff, and I'll be done. The last surgery is July the 7th, thank the Lord. All right, so let me show you in maybe a navy blue color. See if I've got a blue one. Yeah, here's blue. And then I'll come back along in a minute and do the bottom part. So the only thing that I did, I just kind of randomly selected some blocks. So I had from this corner out to that one, and I skipped up to, no, what I did, this one, sorry. And I skipped up 2 and went over 1 like that. And so that's going to be a section of blue. Then I had another section about I guess I went up 3 and just kind of angled it with that window and went up like that. And I'm just doing this right hand section now. So I went up even with this and just kind of drew it down in here. So that was a little bit of fancy tape in there. But it was all right, really, because I painted that first, and I just taped over that when I was painting this section. So I just went up. I went up about 1.5 and went to the corner of this top, underneath the top of there. So that was just a little section here. Let's go over here to this left. Now again, you can just divide this up the way you want to, but I just went from that corner again here. So this is going to be my grass down in here. But for this section here, and I know this probably not making a lot of sense, but I went in the middle of the house here and drew it up to the corner of that light. And this is a light blue color in here. And then I wanted to make sure this line was kind of lined up with a point. And so I lined my ruler up here and just I made another point here. And well, wait a minute. Yeah. And then I just made another point here. So that blue is shooting out this way underneath the lighthouse. And you might want to do this because that there you go. So 1, 2, 3, 4.5. That's what I did because I wanted to make sure them lines and angles was straight. Okay, then at the very top, I started just about the halfway point here and went to that first block up here. So, you know, you're going past, and I started here. So you're going past your lighthouse in there. Alright, so this is going to be red behind it. Now that didn't turn out exactly, because I think I had mine, I didn't mark it the way I told y'all to. Right here's the halfway point. And so you're going to have a little bit of that dark blue right in here. And then it comes out here. Alright, so I'll come back and I'll come back in a minute and see if I can white that out so it don't confuse you on the pattern. Alright, then the only other block that we have is just a big white section here. Now I started, wait a minute, let me tell you wrong. Okay, wait a minute, we've got another line to draw. So we have here, like this. We're going to the bottom of that one and the top of this one over here. And that's going to be this light blue color, same as this. So we're just going to draw, now mind you, these may not be exactly the same measurements of my other one, but you know what, that don't matter. Because it's no two lighthouses are going to be the same. skies or whatever that you're drawing. And it don't matter, because look how pretty that's going to look. That's going to be the white, and that's going to be that light blue. And there, folks, we only have to do the grass. All right, so the grass, I started at this door. So I hope you're taking snapshots of both of these. But I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to get rid of the boo-boo marks that I made just now. And I don't know that I can cut that part out of the video, so you probably will see that. You know, sometimes I try to edit that kind of stuff out, but I don't believe I can on this one. But let me show you that sky. You see the sky here coming up through here. That was a darker blue. So I had different sections of the darker blue. Then I had a medium blue coming through here. And then a very light blue up in here. And see, this is open, so you can see the sky through it. But that's the light, and that's the part of the building, so you can't see through that. But I had a little bit of white here and a little bit of white here. And then for the grass, see the grass, what I was talking about? Right here. Right here. Right here. All right, take a snapshot of that. Can I get you up a little higher so you can take a snapshot? Okay, take a screenshot, not a snapshot, screenshot. And someone told me the other day they had trouble doing that, but if you're on your phone, you know, you just click there's a button on the left and a button on the right, and you just press them both at the same time. Now, if you're watching it on TV, just take your phone and go up and take a picture of it. Alright, so let me see if I can get rid of these boo-boo marks before you take a screenshot of that. So, because you don't want that in there. Hang on. Okay, hope I didn't scramble your brains with all that. But it just took a lot of marks to make the lighthouse. And the sky, and the light, and the Watchman's house. So, I did get rid of the boo-boos. And so that will make a better screenshot for you. Now, just in case you want to make that fish border around here, I'll tell you this, the way I had it figured out, and skip over this part if you don't like it, but the way I had it figured out was you have to find the middle of your board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It just makes you a little tick mark here so you'll know that, and you'll do that all on all 4 sides. But I made a block here and here. So all 4 corners will look like this. And that'll be a solid color, and you might can put some dots or whatever in it. But to make, and I'll make the fish along one side, and that's all. But so I made you have to make 2 solid blocks here. Because of the fish pattern, you can't get like a whole lot of them across here. Now you can, but it'll mess up these rows. Because the points will look together. You can't tell it's a fish once you get over here. That's what I'm trying to say. So I put 2 fish on this side and 2 on this side. And I'll show you how I did it. It's a lot simpler than drawing a lighthouse. So you see this first block. Well, actually it's the third block over to the left, because we covered up 2 of them here. We've already used them. So on this third row, we just went from the middle of our, see, we got, this is a 2-inch border. So at the 1-inch mark, we went from the 1 inch down to the left hand corner of that first block. And here we went to the left hand corner of the top block. And so that's the fish's little tail. And so we're going to go over 2 and up and down. So we went over 2 at the top of that one, put a tick mark, and at the bottom of the first row we put a tick mark. And we're just going to connect. This is his body, so we're just going to connect it. And then this next one, look what we're doing. We're just putting an X. We're just going to draw an X. So look, what you got? So we just put an X here. So now, see, here's his fin, and here's his body, and there's his little face. Get down here close enough, and I'll do another one. All right. So now, we marked these 2 off. So let's go to the left-hand side of that line. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make his little tail. We're just using 1 block now. 1 block here and 1 block here. And then we're going to connect that tail to his body. And we had already drawn his head. So that's the fish. There you go. You could take a snapshot of that if you wanted to. And I won't prolong this video by going all the way around because I didn't do that. But I just thought if you wanted to, you could. All right. Now, if you've hung in there this long with me, let me give you a few tips while I was painting this. All right, the first thing was these lines that separated the parts of my house. And I used just real thin tape, or if you don't have any of this, don't worry about it. Just use your regular tape. And I just marked it like that, and I probably had 1/8 of an inch out there and painted that. And then I come along and painted the sky. Well, what I could have done was painted the sky and then come back along and painted over top of a little bit of that blue sky. I believe that would have worked better. It would have been less hassle, I think. Because I had to take, because I got blue on it, I took, I used them giant toothpicks, but I took a pencil and just dabbed that little lead right down inside my paint, and then went along right here and fixed it, because I got some over and I had to do it up here too. But this little pencil lead gets right into the very corners. Now my giant toothpicks, they do pretty good too. But that pencil lead, being so skinny, was a little bit easier. And the next thing too that probably would be helpful to know is when you're painting these lines. Now you can make as many different shades of that yellow as you want to. I just use 2, but you could use lots of different shades. But you have 6 blocks here. When I painted that, I got a little heavy-handed and put a little bit too much paint. But be real careful to make very, very thin lines. Thin coats of paint, I mean. The thinner you get it, the better. Even if you have to put 4 coats on it to get it the shade you want. Well, I didn't wait long enough. After I painted my 4 coats, I needed to just go away, do something else, and come back to it in a couple of hours, even after it was dry. Because that's such a thin line, when I put my tape over top of it, it wouldn't have done that had it not been that thin. I mean thin, skinny line, not thin paint, thin, skinny line. It did pull up some of the paint. And when I slowed down and just took my time, walked away from it, done something down in here, done something else for a couple hours and come back, this is going to take a while to paint. Because when you do come back, it's easier to take it off. The flat paint, this is semi-gloss. But I noticed that when you're doing something this really thin, skinny work like that, the flat paint doesn't come off near as quick. It seems like it dries and cures a little bit better. And it's going to be okay. But I don't know. I really just like my semi-gloss. So I use flat. If I can't get the semi-gloss, I'll use the flat. Because I use a semi-gloss or yes, my spar urethane is semi-gloss, so it gives it a shine. But you see how I used one of them little sponges up here. So I think that was all the tips that I wanted to give you. Now, I'll tell you something. You know, this is how I did the grass. I wanted it different shades, so that's how I did it. But you see, I started at this front door, and I ended over here. And when I showed it to my husband, he said, "I like that driveway." So you might want to angle your little marks and groove ticks and tocks a little different than I did so that you don't have a driveway in your yard. All right. Thanks for joining me for another video. And let's see what I can't remember what I've got up next. But anyway, this one took a while, so it's longer than usual. But thank you for joining me, and if you're here at the end, I hope you subscribe, and I appreciate all of you who are joining my channel. I have over 1,500 now, and I'm just excited about it. And I'll have another how-to video coming up pretty soon. And we're going to start drawing that peace sign too. All right, talk to y'all later in the next video. Bye for now.